Hello and welcome to this Everywoman special on the women of Hezbollah. I'm Rula Amin, Al Jazeera correspondent in Beirut. Now, even by Lebanese standards, 2006 has been a turbulent year for this country. The war with Israel, which ended only a few months ago, left many Lebanese disillusioned and wary. There's been an upsurge in violence. Political divides are growing by the day. In the evenings, these streets are filled with thousands of protesters demanding that the government resign. And again, all eyes are on Hezbollah, the party that is leading these protests. For some, it's a threat that needs to be eliminated. For others, an exceptional example that needs to be followed. The party's ideology and military capacity gets a lot of attention. But what about its women? Everywoman traveled to Lebanon to meet with the women of Hezbollah, to hear their stories through their own eyes and in their own words. We wanted to know, what did they think of the war, the fighting, the loss of family members, and their hopes for the future. We started by going to the very heart of Hezbollah, the women's political wing, and we asked them about their contribution.
Women started with Hezbollah since the beginning. When Hezbollah started as a resistance against the Israeli invasion to Lebanon. They were supporting the resistant men, helping them, etc. With time, the role of the women become better and better and improved.
هلا نحن هون قاعدين بمشغل.
We are sitting here in the workshop of the association. The women that run this workshop are volunteers. They put in a lot of time and effort to make these beautiful things, which we then display at exhibitions. And any money that is raised goes to the Islamic Resistance Support Association. During the recent war, we had a program called Sponsor a Fighter, where you can outfit a soldier with everything from his backpack to his clothes, his boots, his helmet. All someone has to say is, I want to sponsor a fighter, and we'll see to the details. I would like to add that it's not just the association that contributes. There are many people who are working behind the scenes, like our sisters in the south who helped the resistance fighters.
I'm from Aita Shab. I was born in Aita, I grew up in Aita, and I still live in Aita. And I will die here. I will never leave this village, no matter what happens. We all support the resistance. We're part of the resistance. We support them with our blood and lives. They sacrifice themselves and their blood for us.
Women in these towns that are very near to the frontiers, they were supporters for the resistance. They lived with those men all the time of the war.
While the fighting took place in the village, in and around our homes, I sheltered 2 injured resistance fighters. We looked after them and they stayed with us for 13 days. We cleaned and dressed their wounds, we fed them and gave them water to drink. We had to help them with everything. A rocket came through there. I'm not sure what kind, but probably from an Israeli tank. The second floor of the house was completely burnt. I had left my jewelry behind and it had all melted. But I didn't care. The lives of our young men are worth more.
The association hosts yearly Ramadan feasts across Lebanon. The biggest feast, or iftar, is held here in Beirut and is attended by women from different backgrounds and religions. We are also responsible for the invitations to the iftar. We organize everything here at the headquarters and hand-deliver the invites. There are 7,000 for this year's event.
We're very strong and very powerful and stood behind the resistance, and they are still standing behind it. So we wanted to thank them, and we made yesterday this iftar. We didn't put envelopes on the tables in front of every woman for giving help and grants for the resistance, but any woman that wanted to give any grant or help, there were some places where she can give the money and take a receipt.
النساء بتقدم كل شيء فيها تقدم
A woman can give them many things. She can offer moral support and she can provide general help. She can offer up her children and herself. She can give them money or anything else they need. Why can't she help? A woman is as much a part of the resistance as the men are.
They are supporters for the resistance. We don't have a need to have women in the battlefield. We don't have a need to have women that are soldiers because thanks God men are enough. But there is no problem. If one time there will be a need for this, they are ready to make whatever is needed for the sake of our country and our people.
That was Rima Fakhri, a member of the political council of Hezbollah. To gain more insight into the role of women within the party, we spoke to Amal Saad Ghraib, the author of Hezbollah, Politics and Religion. And we asked her about the women's role within Hezbollah and how it evolved. Historically, what has been the role of women within Hezbollah?
Historically, Hezbollah, like many Islamist organizations, is very much a male-dominated party. However, I think we should view the role of women outside of the Western conventional lens. Women in Hezbollah, as in other Islamist organizations, play a very important social role at the grassroots level, much more than a political role, if you like. So while you won't find many women represented in Hezbollah's political ranks, you'll find that they play an extremely important role insofar as they are mothers of fighters, wives of fighters, and so forth. So I think their role would be best characterized as one of political socialization and support in terms of nurturing a resistance culture.
But is that enough of a role? Can you call that a role? Isn't it more of a traditional role of a mother and a wife and a daughter?
Well, I mean, yes, it is a traditional role in some sense, but you do have, I think what's interesting is that as women, as mothers, as wives, as sisters, it's very difficult to envision the idea of a woman encouraging a member of her family to be martyred, to fight, with the risk of them being martyred. And so that's a very political and militant role, which is not traditional in any sense.
But how do you explain that attitude by the women? How come they are so entrenched in this resistance culture?
Well, I think women like men, understand and, have political awareness. And women like men suffer the same consequences of injustice and oppression. Now, especially these women in the South who've been exposed for decades to Israeli attacks are very protective of their families, of their homes, and so forth. So we have to look at it through that lens, that the woman, just, perhaps even more than the man, in fact, would be, very much in need of finding some source of security for her home, for her family. And they see the resistance as that guarantee, if you like, against Israeli aggression.
What, if any, tension do you see between Hezbollah's leadership and millions of female supporters that they have?
If you talk to any member of Hezbollah as a woman, as a researcher, as a journalist, you'll find that they're extremely comfortable talking to women. They look women right in the eye. We see Nasrallah on television being interviewed by women. He talks to them very casually, he jokes with them.
How significant do you believe events of the last week are?
The role played by women now in this current political crisis in Lebanon. The opposition to the government, which is essentially an anti-American campaign, has really featured women prominently in these protests. And so again here we could say that women are now involved in retrieving their political rights as Lebanese citizens, not as women.
We'll be back after the break for more on the women of Hezbollah.